Have you ever felt that as the years go by, what matters most starts to shift? Things like keeping a big circle of friends which once seemed so important might not feel as essential anymore. And here's something that might surprise you. You don't really need a ton of friends after 70. I know that sounds bold, but hear me out. It's not about being alone. It's about embracing the freedom to live life on your own terms. In this video, we're diving into 6 heartfelt reasons why letting go of friendships that no longer light you up can lead to a happier, more fulfilling life. We'll explore how this choice can boost your peace of mind, give you more time for yourself, and even improve your health. This isn't about loneliness. It's about rediscovering who you are and what truly brings you joy. Stick with me until the end, because you might just find that releasing the pressure to stay connected could be the key to a lighter, more liberated you. Let's get started. Now, let's dive into the first reason why you might not need a big circle of friends after 70. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. Think back to your younger days. How often did you feel like you had to fit in, impress others, or keep up appearances? Whether it was making sure you were invited to gatherings, earning the respect of colleagues, or just being liked, there was always this quiet pressure to show the world who you were. But here's the beautiful thing about this stage of life. You've already done all that. You've lived. You've loved. You've built a life that's yours. The opinions of others, they just don't carry the same weight anymore. At this age, you've seen enough to know that true happiness doesn't come from what others think of you. It comes from within. You don't need a crowd of friends to validate who you are or what you've accomplished. You're enough just as you are, and you don't need anyone's approval to feel that. Let me tell you about Harold, a man in his early 70s who spent years climbing the corporate ladder, always surrounded by colleagues and so-called friends. But when he retired, those connections started to fade. At first, he felt this urge to keep reaching out to hold on to those ties. Then one day, it hit him. Why was he chasing relationships that only existed because of work? Why pour energy into friendships that weren't truly meaningful? So Harold made a change. He stopped worrying about what others thought and started focusing on himself. He picked up old hobbies, rediscovered passions he'd set aside, and realized something powerful without the need to impress anyone. He felt freer than ever. No more forced small talk. No more pretending to be someone he wasn't. No more carrying the weight of others' expectations. For the first time in years, he was living for himself, and it felt incredible. That's the gift of this moment in life. When you let go of the need to prove yourself, you free up so much energy. You stop wasting time on friendships that feel more like obligations than joys. You realize the only person you need to show up for is you, and trust me, that kind of freedom, it's like taking a deep breath after years of holding it in. Let's dive into the 5th reason you might not need a wide circle of friends after 70. The truest companionship you'll ever find is the one you nurture within yourself. We grow up hearing that happiness means being surrounded by people, that a busy social life is the key to feeling fulfilled. But as you get older, you start to see things differently. You realize that the most important relationship in your life is the one you have with yourself. By the time you're 70, you've lived through so much joys, challenges, lessons, and you've come to know yourself in a way no one else ever will. That deep understanding brings a quiet, powerful truth. You are enough just as you are. Society often tells us to seek connection outside ourselves, to find comfort somewhere or validation in others. We're taught to fear being alone, as if solitude is something to escape. But there's a big difference between being alone and feeling lonely. And some of the most content people in their later years are those who've learned to treasure their own company. Let me tell you about Eleanor, a 76-year-old who once believed a full social calendar was the path to happiness. She was always on the go, planning get-togethers, calling friends, filling her days with chatter and activity. But after a while, she started to feel worn out, like she was bending herself to fit into conversations or keep up with expectations that didn't feel right anymore. One day, Eleanor decided to pause. She stopped chasing plans and started spending time with herself like she would with a close friend. She took leisurely walks, savored quiet mornings with a book at her favorite cafe, or just sat in stillness letting her thoughts unfold. She let go of the need to maintain friendships out of habit and began tuning into what truly made her happy. And something amazing happened. She didn't feel isolated. Instead, she felt freer, lighter, and more at peace than she had in years. She learned that solitude wasn't lonely. It was a chance to reconnect with herself in the most beautiful way. That's the gift. So many overlook real companionship isn't about how many people you have around you. It's about how comfortable you feel in your own skin. When you stop relying on others to fill your time or lift your spirits, you discover a kind of freedom that's hard to put into words. You become your own source of joy, your own trusted confidant, your own safe space. And here's the best part. When you're at peace with yourself, the right people, those who bring ease and joy without effort, seem to come into your life naturally. So if you've ever feared that stepping back from friendships might leave you lonely, let me assure you, the greatest company you'll ever keep is already within you. Lean into it, and you'll find a happiness that's yours alone to hold. If this one's touching your heart, drop number 5 in the comments to let me know you're with me, and let's keep going. Let's wrap up with the 6th reason you might not need a big circle of friends after 70. Letting go opens the door to a more fulfilling life. There's something incredibly powerful about giving yourself permission to release what no longer serves you. Whether it's the pressure to keep up with friendships that feel forced, the idea that your worth is tied to how many people are in your life, or the fear that being alone means being lonely. When you let go of these expectations, you create space for a life that feels lighter, simpler, and so much more true to who you are. So many of us hold on to friendships out of habit, even when they've stopped bringing joy. We go to gatherings we don't enjoy, answer calls out of duty, or keep up appearances because it's what we've always done. But what if you didn't have to? What if you chose to focus only on what truly lights you up? Let me tell you about James, a man in his late 70s, who once thought staying socially active was the secret to aging well. He worked hard to stay connected with old friends, even when those relationships felt distant or surface level. He filled his days with social plans, believing that keeping busy meant staying fulfilled. But deep down, he was exhausted. The conversations felt repetitive, the gatherings like chores, and he realized he wasn't enjoying it anymore. So James made a bold choice. He stopped forcing himself to maintain friendships that no longer felt meaningful. Instead, he turned his energy toward what truly mattered to him. He spent more time outdoors, took better care of his health, explored new interests, and embraced the freedom of living without anyone else's expectations. And in doing so, he discovered something wonderful. He felt happier, lighter, and more at peace than ever before. Letting go didn't close him off. It opened him up to a life that felt authentic and joyful in ways he hadn't expected. That's the beauty of letting go. It's not about shutting out the world. It's about making room for what truly fills your heart. When you stop worrying about who's in your life and start focusing on what brings you joy, you begin to notice the little things: a quiet morning with your coffee, a hobby that sparks your curiosity, or the calm of your own thoughts. You realize that fulfillment doesn't come from keeping up with friendships out of obligation, but from living in a way that feels natural and meaningful to you. So if you've ever felt like you should be doing more to hold on to certain friendships, ask yourself, are they adding to my happiness? Or am I just holding on because it's familiar? Because once you give yourself permission to let go, you'll find that life becomes richer and more rewarding in ways you never imagined. As we come to the end of this video, take a moment to think about what we've explored together. The idea that you don't need a big circle of friends after 70 isn't about closing yourself off. It's about opening up to a kind of freedom that's hard to find earlier in life. It's about letting go of the weight of expectations, choosing peace over pressure, and living in a way that feels true to you. We've walked through 6 reasons why stepping back from friendships that no longer spark joy can bring more happiness, more time, and a deeper sense of fulfillment than you might have imagined. Maybe it was the idea of not needing to prove yourself anymore that hit home, or the beauty of finding companionship within yourself. Perhaps it's the thought of reclaiming your time, or embracing the simplicity of a life free from disappointment. Which of these ideas spoke to you the most? Have you already started to let go of friendships that feel more like work than joy? Or maybe you're beginning to see how much you love your own company when you give it a chance. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Share one thing that stood out to you today, or how you're thinking about applying this in your own life. Your stories and reflections mean so much, and they inspire others too. If this video touched your heart, or gave you a new perspective, please give it a like. Hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who might need to hear this. Your support helps us keep creating content to uplift and inspire. Thank you for being here, for watching, and for being part of this journey. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, take care and keep living your truth.